This is the frightening bit. We're about to go in, about 10 minutes we'll be going in, and I really start to get worried at this stage, get butterflies. Are we going to go in and sink straight to the bottom of the river? Will the engine start? Will the steering work? All the usual butterflies. But hopefully, all being well, in an hour we will be once again floating on the water. Hurrah! I can't wait, it's so exciting as well as scary.
Week 2, and we keep getting this visitor, this neighbour keeps joining us. It's this boat here. They keep moving him back up next to ESPER. Because of the track system they use to move boats around, they have to move boats up and down and across, and they launched a boat yesterday, so they had to move this boat next to us. Now this is all very well, but one of the frustrations of course is that they are doing lots of sanding, and our guys are trying to do painting. Sanding, painting, they don't mix. This is why we love PSS. You turn to the workers and say, I want a cockpit table. They go away. The carpenter, Ron, has produced this beautiful, very simple table. And Jung, the stainless guy, has put together this sliding mechanism which allows the leaves of the table, when they're open, to be supported from underneath. I was just expecting something simple made out of wood, but look at what we've got here. We've got these stainless tubes that run through these nylon runners, so it'll be a nice smooth motion and very solid. Shut up! Gas filling station. Obviously we use gas when we cook on the boat, and so we've come to the LPG station. See a guy there with his bottle and his wife holding on to the bottle. They do it by weight, so one of these is half full, the other one is completely empty. So you can see he's popped the thing on the scales there and filling it up, and it's supposed to be very quick. I've never done this before. I normally get it done for me, but this is an interesting education for us. Right, just been kicked off the boat because the painters are now mixing the paint. So they are preparing to spray paint the Allcraft Snow White on the deck. Meanwhile, we've got Moo, who's filled in those holes. He's put primer on, and he's just sounding back the primer. So it could be that we're actually going to get the first coat of anti-foul on today, and it's still only Wednesday. The other thing we've received is our cockpit table. That's now that's been made. Gia's just turned up, so hopefully he's got the battery cables, which we've just had terminated, to add to our second starter battery.
And that's why we love PSS. They are accommodating, and if you know what you're doing, you can get anything you want done there. And this leads us directly to the next question.
Indeed, this is from Wishful on YouTube, and they ask, just wondering if PSS would be a good setup to build a small yacht new from scratch. I know people are nice there. How about in terms of comprehensiveness of skills, expertise and costs?
Yes, people definitely are nice there, and when it comes to building your own boat, I had a chance to ask Gia that very question while we were at the boatyard, and he said yes. A couple of provisos. Really, GRP, steel and wood are the methods of choice. He wouldn't be able to go down the aluminium road, but any of those three are fine. And secondly, the most important thing perhaps is that you have to be prepared to project manage it yourself. The yard supplies plenty of labourers and very skilled people, but when it comes to project management, they don't have anyone in place that could take that role.
No, not really. I mean, they have facilitators, as we ended up calling them, who are people who speak English, who are knowledgeable and can fill that bridge between the communication gap between yourself and the local workers. But a project manager should really manage everything from the project, including budgeting and costs. And that especially is something that they do not cover.
One of the other things Gia asked me to mention is the cultural differences between the East and the West. And sometimes this can be very frustrating if you come straight from the West.
Yeah, definitely. It's something that we saw a lot of, didn't we, in the yard, is this, it's really a misunderstanding of these cultural differences. We are aware of this whole loss of face concept in Asia. And I think that's something that we really don't quite understand. You know, the way that we do business in the West is to, when things go wrong, you have that flexibility to scream and shout and to argue in order to get your point across. If you do any of these over here, that's it. You have lost face and you can pretty much write off your project.
Yeah, it's a land of 1,000 smiles, and that's how you get by in Thailand. You smile through the bad times and the mistakes, and you work together to try and improve them.
Gia gave a very good example of a boatyard up the coast who used to take in Western yachties. They got so fed up with dealing with Western yachties shouting the odds and losing their tempers that in the end they stopped taking them in.
Don't want to put you off from working here, just want to be realistic about it. We had a good relationship with Gia, but we had to work at it. We had problems like everybody has problems, but we learned, I think perhaps partly because we spent 3 years in India before we got to Thailand.
Yeah, that was good practice.
So we had to learn patience over there, and they have a really different concept of time. But so it was a little bit easier from us. We weren't coming in cold. And when we left PSS, we had a couple of really bad problems. We were hit by another boat, and we had an engine breakdown. And who came on the telephone immediately to help us? Gia.
Indeed, and that was because we had established a good working relationship with him, and through that he's become our friend as well. Let's not forget, people like Gia are extremely knowledgeable, and if you take the time out to talk to him as an equal, then he is a endless source of knowledge. We've seen it so many times, haven't we? We have seen so many people falling out, and it almost always comes down to this huge cultural difference. We cannot emphasize it enough.
It's part of the joy of coming here, is learning a new culture and meeting new people and making new friends from a whole different country and just seeing the world slightly differently. I think it's a good thing. Okay, the time has come. We're going to talk about the engine. We're going to split it into two halves. This week we're going to talk about the build of the new engine and then how we actually got it. And then next week we're going to talk about the actual installation and what that involved and the first sea trial.
We did put together a special video solely on our engine woes. So if you look up there right now, there should be a little linky to that particular video clip. So we decided to go for a beta engine. We put in our order. We asked for some extras because they're able to customize that for us. And beta went away and built that customized engine. So with the engine complete, we expedited delivery of it by opting for air freight. The problem then was going to meet Eddie Mann, who is the Beta Marine Asia agent, to go and pick it up because the engine was delivered 150 miles away from ESPER. So how did we go about getting it?
Now that's interesting because up to the plate stepped American McGee, our very first Patreon and now very good friend. He offered to take us to Langkawi in his boat to collect the engine because he thought it would be a great experience and a bit of an adventure.
And an adventure it was. Bear in mind, we're talking about picking up 250 kilos of deadweight and placing it on the bow of a 36-foot sailboat. It wasn't without its problem. We hit squalls, we hit 3-meter swells, and on top of that, American's engine decided to pack up.
All I can say is I'm glad I wasn't there, that I was stuck in England. Just for once, I was pleased not to be over here. I had 4 weeks away when Jamie dealt with all this because I would have had kittens.
It was rather stressful.
I'm very lonely now.
When we were smashing through these rather large waves and a big swell in a 30-knot squall, and we weren't sailing, we were having to motor, and then the motor cut out. Well, it's probably almost 7-8 hours now since that happened, and we've just been collecting ourselves as the seas calm a little, and we've now got a nice sail in. American thinks he has identified the problem, which is a repeat of his last problem, which was gunge and algae in the bottom of his fuel tank. This little clip is for Liz because this time of the morning is her favourite time of day when we night sail, and that is sunrise. So it's now, I can't remember what time it is, it's 5:30, and this is pretty much the last part of our journey. Just spoken to Eddie, who tells us there are 4 red cranes and we're to find the second one on the left, and I have to say I'm feeling rather nervous. Got to get that engine in its packing box onto that platform. Yes, one step at a time. Okay, we're alongside. American expertly brought us in, but you can see the problem now, trying to get up.
No, it's too short.
That's okay.
Is it tied to
Is
something?
that tied on?
It's not tied, just hanging around. Just hanging around, great.
Okay, so here's Eddie, and we've just checked the engine. It looks big when it's mounted on its platform there. So anyway, we've just gone through, made sure everything is in there. It's all okay. Are you happy, Eddie?
Yeah, of course I'm happy.
Okay, now we've got to get this down there with this one. Is this our crane? Okay. Well, we're back in the anchorage, just parked out a little bit further out this time, with a great big engine on the front of the boat. It's absolutely slashing it down out there. We just managed to get the engine on, and this huge storm came through, a big westerly, southwesterly, and we're soaking wet.
There's an engine on our bow and there's a tug behind us, or a fishing boat behind us, and we don't want to get in his wake. So we're going to do a loop around so we can Yeah, take his wake head on.
That is one laden down boat, and that is one great big wake. There it is.
That wasn't so bad. The main thing is just slow down before you hit it, you know?
Yeah. Right, now get us out of here before that big bastard storm catches up with us.
Steve Dickinson on YouTube says, what is it like sleeping on the boat in the yard?
Yeah, not great. You lose a few creature comforts. Specifically, when nature calls, you have to make the long trek down a big wobbly metal ladder, across a dirty boatyard, and to a smelly toilet that has no lights.
It's horrible. Anyone with a pet, if you're on the hard, do let the pet on and off the boat. We don't let Millie off.
Advantages of being in the boatyard is that you are there. You're not having to commute into the yard. So at first light, you get up and you can start work before it gets too hot.
The other advantage, of course, is that you are connected to shore power. So you have the AC on, if you have one. You have all the electrical things that you want on all the time. We could get on computers wherever we liked. And we can watch films all night.
Saturday morning, and we're about to drop in. It's very early. I think it's not even 7 o'clock yet. As you can see behind me, we've got a lovely polished and anti-fouled ESPER. She's looking rather splendid. The prop's been done up nicely by Liz, new anode, all the paintwork's been done, blah blah blah. Meanwhile, we've got the lads here who are going to be getting the cradles ready. You can see how early it is in the morning. The sun isn't even up yet. So we're going to try and catch that high water, or rather sort of an hour or two before it, and get put in the water and try and make it out that channel all in one go. So fingers crossed, let's see how we get on.